was that?
Well, on Saturday you talked about an identity starting to forge for your team. I guess how would you characterize that identity? And is it normal that it takes this long for an identity to kind of start to come together?
Well, I think our team, has had an identity from the get-go. I think on offense, you're starting to see it forge itself a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, probably. But this team plays hard, plays physical. It's got great leadership. And on offense, I think that you're just seeing the combination of the run game and the ball on the perimeter. When you have all the weapons back, and now Kyle's got a bunch of games under his belt. Offensive line, is making progress every week. So I think all that comes into play.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Road.
Ryan, when you reevaluate the offensive line right now and watch what Donovan's doing, is he playing his best football right now? And where have you seen the most growth from him from last year to start to this year?
Yeah, I think so. He's created champion here the last couple of weeks. And, everyone's looking to play their best football now. But, it's the combination of run game and pass game. You have to be able to do both. And, it's different when you have two new guys on both sides of you there. Just the combination blocks, the communication, how you handle movement in the pass game, how you handle movement in the run game. So I think a little bit of it's that. A little bit of it's just, now he's into his next year of maturity. He's seen a lot more. And, we're going to need him to play really well down the stretch.
I think that contributed to the struggles of the offensive line early in the year, that you had two starters back, but both of them were surrounded by each side of them a new guy.
I don't know. I think there was probably a lot of things that along the journey that has taken us to where we are right now. But I know that anytime if somebody new next to you, there's an adjustment phase there. But I do think that they're more and more comfortable every single time they're out there. And now that we're into November, they've got a good body of work under their belt. So now we're expecting them to go play the best.
Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Ryan, you guys ran that split back set with Chip and Xavier in the backfield a decent amount on Saturday. Just what benefit does that give you? I guess obviously now you're healthier. It shows you can play Chip and have Trey come off the bench there. But just how much of a benefit does it give you as a play caller to know you can do a little bit of both Chip and X and F?
Yeah, those guys can do multiple things, and anytime you see that, it can bring a lot of different variables to the table. You look at the way that Cade's running routes and blocking and protection. Same thing with G. Scott. You're seeing our receivers get involved with the run game. You're seeing multiple receivers carry the ball. You saw Marvin carry the ball. You've seen X carry the ball. You've seen Emeka carry the ball. And you're seeing Trey line up as a receiver at times. All those things help you when you're trying to attack a defense when they can do multiple things.
Getting him in the backfield, because usually if he runs this route, you're going to have a linebacker on him. How much of a benefit is that, knowing his versatility, but you can have him in the backfield runner as well?
Yeah, no, he's a mismatch in a lot of different areas, and that's our job as coaches to put him in those situations and try to find creative ways to get those matchups. But ultimately, it comes down to blocking and taking care of the football and executing. But anytime we can put these guys in situations like that, that kind of like I think the one you're talking about is the throw down the sideline there, and kind of got set up after a couple of runs that way, and the guys put it on the field well, did a good job protecting it, and they did a nice job there. And if you watch the film, I think Marvin was double covered there, so that really opened up Xavier on the linebacker.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Just going back to when you first saw Kyle as a recruit, what about him did you like? What stood out from the get-go that made you want to offer him? Yeah,
you saw his productive play on the field. You saw his size, his arm strength, intelligence, and just had a good way of leadership with the players. The guys in his class, he was the first one to jump on board and then brought a lot of guys with him. Once he got in the building, he was with Marv and Emeka in here on the drawing board right away, learning the offense and getting involved, throwing with those guys, great work ethic. So all of those things, led to it.
He's 10 games into this season as a starter and coming off a game like he had last week. Is there anything that can help build confidence, just seeing the ball guys just go through the hoop in a game that he had on Saturday?
Yeah. I think every time you're out there, you gain more and more confidence because it's not new anymore, and then it slows down. So I think the last couple of games has started out finding the speed of the game really well, much more efficient early on, and that's led us to get, certainly in this last game, getting, good momentum. And then I thought it was great to get a 2-minute drive going, at the end of the first half.
Those traits that you saw in him as a recruit started to maybe show up more and more this year.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're starting to see that more and more. Yes.
Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Devin Brown got hurt during warm-ups. How's he coming along? Fluke injury, I know, right? But how's he coming along?
He's all right. Just a bit of a setback there in the warm-ups, but hoping to see he can get back on the field this week and survive warm-ups.
I guess the good news is, yeah, there you go. The good news, I guess, is Lincoln was able to get in there and get his feet wet. I know it was a very small sample size. What'd you see out of Lincoln?
Just in the couple snaps he was out there, it didn't look too big for him. I just thought he belonged. He's still trying to figure it all out. He got an earful for the first time on the field after one of the plays, which was good, and he had an answer. I liked it. He came right back with why he did what he did. But we'll see. It's just a start, but it was just good to see him out there getting some plays under his belt, and there was some good plays he had out there.
Dan Holt, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, I wanted to clarify on Lathan. Is he out for the season, or is there still a chance he could come back?
There's a chance he can come back, this year, but it doesn't look like it's going to be any time in the next couple of weeks.
And Mike Hall, he only played a couple series, then left the game. Was that injury related, and what's his status?
I don't really have an update on Mike right now.
Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, I know the last couple of games you've gotten production from other guys, but as Emeka has worked his way back, are you seeing what you need to see from him, or is he still, kind of recovering from that injury? The statistics haven't been what they were before he got.
He's getting stronger and stronger each week. We decided to hold him in the second half to continue that progress, but he's getting as closer every week to being 100. And the feedback I got this week was that he feels better this week than he did last week, and that's the goal. Look more explosive on film in this past game, and so we'll keep bringing him along. Everything that our folks say here is just keep pushing him, keep getting that thing stronger, keep working, and he's getting stronger every single week. So, hopefully we take another step this week, and we're as close as we can to 100%.
And as you go through that list of guys that have been contributing, Cade, Travion, obviously Marv, I assume he fits right in with that group when he can be his normal self? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I think Emeka is one of the best receivers in the entire country, and his production proves it. We are a different offense when he's in the game.
Bill Landis, the podcast.
Right, you guys gave Matthew Jones maybe a series or two at center the other day. What went into that decision? I don't think he's ever played center in a game before, so what did you want to get a look at there?
Yeah, I forget if he had or not. I don't remember, but I know we worked him at center at times, and we just felt like at that time it was good to get him some work at center and just get Enoch in the game and just see what that looked like in a game. We had a pretty comfortable lead at that point and felt like it was good to do, evaluated it, and then there was some good snaps there. So, it's always good to kind of, in an opportunity like that, go see, if we needed to make a change, what that would look like.
I guess along those lines, you said the offensive line continues to make progress. What is your evaluation of the center position, specifically with Carson? Because it seems like maybe his progression is a little farther behind the rest of that group.
I think he's the youngest, so he's probably made, from where he started to where he is now, he's made certainly a bunch of progress. But he's also the youngest, so he's in here every day. He's busting his tail to get better, and he's handled some difficult environments, so far this year as a redshirt freshman. So we think that he's got a very bright future ahead of him, and he's going to continue to get stronger and better. Across the board, his communication, all those things. So every time he's out there, it's an investment in his future.
The idea of playing Matt, is there any thought there that maybe you'd want to move to that look full time, or are you comfortable with your normal starting five? Yeah,
right now we're going to continue to move forward as we have, but every week we're evaluating to see what gives us the best chance to win. So, but as of right now, we're going to continue to where we're at right now.
Ryan, with the idea that you need to be playing your best in November, is your offense doing that right now, and where are they in relation to what you envisioned before the season?
I think the first half you saw, some efficient play and finished drives, third downs, red zone. I thought there was some very well executed plays. I thought the reverse to Marvin was really well executed. I thought there was just a bunch of plays protection wise that gave Kyle some time. The timing, the throws were pretty high level. The second touchdown to Marvin the throw and catch was excellent. Travion stepped up in a big way and helped the protection. Thought he did a nice job on 2 or 3 of the plays. Actually, 2 of the touchdown passes to Marvin, he did a really nice job in protection. And that was the most excited guy on the field, which goes to show you his unselfishness and how he's getting better every game as an all-purpose player. But, I think you see what we're capable of, and it was good to see us play a full half right there and play and execute, and again, finish with a 2-minute drive there. So all those things are encouraging at this point.
Caleb Spinner, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Coach, Saturday, obviously, game against Minnesota, another chance to remain undefeated, but it's also a chance to honor some of the players who won't be coming back next year. What have the seniors, fifth years, graduates all meant to you during your time here at Ohio State?
Well, a good portion of them, started when I that first year when I became the head coach, and so they've been just soldiers along the way, and mean so much to me and my family, to the staff, to the university. So I try to tell those guys all the time when we have home games, don't wait till the last one to take it all in. Starts from that first home game of your senior year. So I hope they've taken that advice. But when you have your last game there is a lot of emotions. So the good news is they got a team that's playing with confidence. There's leadership that they've shown, and they have an opportunity to really leave a legacy behind here over the next month. So, happy that they're going to get recognized in that moment, and they deserve it.
Far left, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
So a year ago, losing someone like Lathan, maybe at this stage of the season, would have seemed pretty devastating. Not that you guys won't miss him this year too, but there also seems to be a structure here where you can maybe absorb that a little bit better. And how much of what you kind of tasked Perry and Tim with doing this past offseason was getting this defensive back group to this point, and how you feel like they accomplished that?
Well, I think you evaluate everything at the end of the season, but everybody's responsible to make sure that they have production at their position and then depth along the way. You can't go pick anybody up off of waivers in college football, so you have to build depth, and there's a bunch of different ways to do that. But a big part of it is development, and certainly we're going to miss Lathan, but our guys are confident, with the guys in the room, and so we're just going to forge forward and with the guys that we have, and challenge those guys to play at a high level.
Obviously, Sonny has done a lot of good things for you in that nickel position, playing close to the ball. Just as someone from an offensive standpoint, looking at him, how can he also still help you guys a lot at Bandit where Lathan is playing with it?
Yeah, he's got a lot of versatility and can do many things, but it's going to be important for the other guys to step up in those areas where where does he fit in, and you just have to feel good at all the other spots back there, and then Sonny can take on a lot of responsibility, but we also want to make sure that he's playing fast and doing a great job. So we don't want to overload him, but at the same time he can do a lot, and that's important for the guys around him to make sure that they're playing at championship level.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, Jelani Thurman had his first catches last weekend with Joe being out, and he never missed the game. Just where's Jelani at as far as kind of his development and how he can help you down the stretch?
Well, we got to make sure that if he flashes a first down, he actually gets it. So that's the first coaching point for Jelani. And so I think Coach Bailey said, okay, that's enough of that, Jelani. Let's just catch the ball and hand the ball to the official. So that was the first coaching point. But it was great to see him out there. You can see his athleticism, size, power. You can see him, he's got really good hands. He's got a very bright future ahead of him. He understands that the tight end position is a developmental position, but he's put a year in now. So, he's going to get to the point where he's going to get on the field here real soon. And the talent is there. And if he continues on the same path that he's on, he's going to have a special career here at Ohio State.
And You said Tommy was week to week. How's he look for this week, and same with Josh Proctor?
Yeah, expecting to have a good week of practice for both of those guys, and we'll have a better idea as we get towards the end of the week.
Austin Moore, podcast.
Ryan, are senior day decisions binding in this era with all the extra COVID years and everything? We've seen Josh participate in the past. Like, is that actually going to be the way it looks like, or if they make a decision to walk, they can still retain that option?
Yeah, they can. If they're eligible, then we certainly allow them the option to do it, and then kind of go from there. Like you said, it's, I guess, a lot different than it was a decade ago.
How everything's complicated in your position, but in terms of managing roster numbers and decisions in this time of year, everybody's trying to weigh that. Like, how clear is the picture for you, or not, with what? I know you want to win on Saturday first and foremost, but you always have to keep an eye on the future. How difficult is that for you right now?
There's a lot of things in the balance, I would say, but maybe just try to plan ahead and make sure you have contingency plans in place. Whether it's high school recruiting, whether it's in the portal, those type of things, and I think the rules have made it such that you should be able to now adjust pretty quickly, based on some of the legislation that's been passed. So Mark's working hard to make sure we have everything planned and ready for that. But our focus, as you know, is right now in this game and preparing for Minnesota and continuing to build on the confidence that this team is playing with right now. But certainly there's a lot of folks working on that here in-house to make sure that when December comes, we're ready to roll.
And just for the record, folks, we'll put out a release later in the week, Friday, somewhere around there, of the guys that'll be walking on Saturday. Tom Taberry, WBNS.
Coach, Marvin Harrison for Heisman, you think he's deserving, and what does he mean to this ball club?
I think I've said it before that the Heisman Trophy goes to the most outstanding player in the country. I know there's a lot of great players out there. I get to see him every day. I think he is the most outstanding player in the country. And he's, right from the jump, came in with a work ethic that, really is transcended throughout the whole team. Just what he's done and now his production as well. So, he wants to be great. I know that. You can just tell it, and his actions back that up. And, certainly his production speaks for itself on the field and what he's doing, and he makes everybody on that field better.
Coach, Saturday, Minnesota, obviously the number one goal is to win the game. But there's just 2 games to go in this season, the regular season. How important is it? What do you want to see out of your club, I guess, as far as just everything on point?
Well, just continuing to build on confidence. And, our second goal of the season, first goal was to win the first one, second goal was to win the next 10. So we have to complete that goal here on Saturday. And, we have to stay focused on that. And that's the bottom line. Have to play really hard, really fast, really physical like we did this past Saturday. And, PJ does a really good job. Minnesota is well coached. I really respect what PJ does as a coach and their program and their culture, and they're going to come in here and play really hard. So, we have to match that. And, it's a Big Ten road or a Big Ten, game here in November. And, so we have to do a great job of preparing for it like any other game. Any other game. It has no bearing what's coming down the future. We got to be on point right now and continue to build on our future. And that's it. So starts with Tuesday today. We'll have a team meeting here at 2:30, and we get back to work.
Clay Hall, WSYX.
Do you like a rah-rah quarterback, very, I don't know, or prefer the composure of maybe a Kyle McCord? And do you try to pass it along, just given what they have to navigate in those few seconds between play to play?
Yeah, I think every quarterback has to, it's like being a golfer. You have to carry different clubs in your bag, and sometimes you have to have that composure. Sometimes you got to bark. Sometimes you got to put your arm around somebody. There's always different parts of the game that you have to be able to utilize, the right skill set. And to say, well, I lead this way, well, that's a cop-out. You have to be able to, handle situations and people differently. But at the same time, you have to be yourself. You can't be someone else. And I think that's what we communicate to our players in terms of their leadership.
Adam King, WBNS.
You said in Skull Session on Saturday, it's been a long road back to November, and you talked about scars in the past. Obviously, the goal is to win the first game in the next 10 and then beat that team. I'm curious, how much are you guys talking about right now that you are here? This is everything you've worked for since you walked off the field at the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, no, we talk about it. We have the last, since we entered in November. We know that we want to be playing our best football in November, and you can get through this. Go through the season where, the days seem long, but the weeks go by real fast, and then here you are at the end of the season, and so urgency has to be at an all-time high. We know we got to be on point, and we got to be playing our best right now. And I think the guys feel that, they understand that, and so we got to be better than everybody else in the country of just focusing on maximizing ourselves, doing a great job preparing for Minnesota, and ignoring everything else that comes around what this time of year is like.
Doug Maurice, Kings of the North.
You talk about wanting to play your best football in November a lot. Have you felt like in your time here that Ohio State has done that you've been at your best in November? And was there anything, I don't know, that you thought about this past offseason to say, hey, we really want to make sure that we're, ascending at the end of this? Did you change anything that you feel like is coming to fruition now?
I feel like we have, but I also feel every year you just, your messaging and you evaluate things just, how you want to messaging it to the team, that it is a build as the season goes on. And I think the guys can feel that. It's been clearly communicated that way, that we've got to build every week, and that momentum, and it kind of snowballs over time, the consistency of everything that you're doing on a daily basis, so that we're at our best at the end of the season. And so it's just been a messaging point to the team, something that we can tangibly like almost grab onto, that hey, we're getting better every week, and we know we got to be at our best at the end of the season, because that's when it matters the most.
You were asked, Bill asked you about Carson Hinsman. Josh Simmons has actually been here less time. Obviously, he's played at San Diego State last year. It seems like he's developing some, progressing some. I want to get your assessment of where he is right now.
Yeah, no, he's certainly is progressing. You can see the talent. When some unbelievable clips, just feet, power, hands. It's all there, and so it's every week it's coming together a little bit more for him. And same thing, just like a quarterback, it starts to slow down, all the different things that go on. And so he can be as good as he wants to be.
How much do you want to get to 7 o'clock on Saturday? And what will that be like?
I think, the first thing is, when you start to get ahead of yourselves, you lose focus on right now. And I think that's the challenge, is making sure you stay in the moment. Because there's nothing you can do other than maximize right now, and that's what we're going to do. And when 7 o'clock comes on Saturday, 7 o'clock will come, and we'll go from there.
Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Ryan, after the game, you mentioned Calvin Simpson was a guy who flashed to you. And watching back the tape, what other players flashed you maybe in that segment?
I thought Jermaine Matthews again, got his hand on the ball, ran down on special teams, did a good job there. It was good to see Jelani make that catch. It was good to see Lincoln, handle himself well. Trying to think of who else. Malik Harford, for his first start, I thought, did some really good things. Graded out a champion. That was great. I'd say those are probably the guys that stick out right offhand.
And then when you guys talk about stealing possessions, can that be on third down defense too? And do you feel like that's going to help this offense hit its stride recently?
Yeah, I think when you're playing complementary football, you're getting off the field, and the offense is getting down and finishing drives. Yeah, I mean that's when you're working at full capacity, and third down is a huge part of the game. And when you're getting off the field and forcing punts and giving the offense good field position, yeah, I mean that's the difference between winning and losing.
Right. Philosophically, you guys are a month away from signing the early signing period. There's tons of things going on around the program, game week preparation, all that. How hard is it as a staff to keep on top of every little blip on the recruiting trail when kids, random tweets and all kids taking visits elsewhere? Like, how much conversation are you guys having about it? How do you handle it as a staff with those players, their families, et cetera?
Yeah, just communication is the key, and that's the other thing is, this time of year and all year, you have to communicate even though you're in the teeth of the season. It's important that you win. I mean, that's huge, but you also have to be communicating and making sure that you're on top of all the recruiting part of it, because what I've learned is, in November and then as you get into December, as you get closer to the signing period, there's a lot of twists and turns along the way. And so you just have to be steady, but obviously constant and really, really good in communication.
This past Saturday, was there any thought to getting Lincoln in the game earlier? If Devin was ready to go, would he have been in earlier? Because it seemed like he took out a lot of the weapons at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter, but left Kyle on the starting offensive line out there. Was that just because the backup quarterback situation was different on Saturday, or was there any thought about putting Lincoln out there at that point?
Yeah, probably. You don't know what you're going to get till you go out there, and it was probably midway through the third quarter. I felt like there was a lot of football left. At that point, we hadn't had Lincoln in the game, so we didn't know what that was going to look like. So we decided to probably hang on a little bit longer, and then we started that drive. And then after we got a couple first downs, decided it was the right time to put Lincoln in the game. If Devin was available, he probably would have been in the game a little bit sooner.
The conversation you had with him where you got the earful of the third down pass, where
Yes.
Yes. And we'll wrap things up with Tim May on 3 and the Tim May podcast.
Thank you, Jerry. Are you guys North America's team? Are y'all Buckeye Nation's team? Are y'all Ohio's team? Whose team are y'all?
It's a good question. I think I can tell you this, that our guys, and I think someone said it before about just, it's been a long road to get to November, and each team has its own identity. Each team has its own dynamics, has its own journey, and so here we are, in November. And I can tell you this, coming to work every day with these guys, I mean, the consistency, the maturity, the competitiveness, the look in their eye. This is a great team to be around. Great guys. And, I go back to this. It's about these guys on a team. It's about the guys that put on the line every single Saturday, on the game and put the work in here. And so, we're going to do it again this week and keep swinging.
Like Saturday, did you feel like like you go in a restaurant sometimes, there are all these things on the menu, but you can't go there because you don't have that, they don't have that in stock right now. Did you feel like you were looking at as close to a full menu? We asked you a little bit about this after the game, but what is that like for you to have those options available to you? Do you have to control yourself of, let's focus on this, let's get the two-back look in there? You know what I mean? How do you approach those kind of things, right?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to make sure you're doing what's best for the team to win the game. That's got to be the first thing, and it has to be the focus, because like you said, sometimes you can get yourself spread real thin and out of whack and out of rhythm. So you have to find that rhythm. And then you try to find different ways that can put the defense in stress. You heard me say that before. And then set things up along the way by putting guys in position to be successful and identifying what guys do really well. And that's really what it comes down to. But at the same time, not sacrificing, the team. Like even at the end of the first half there, it was 3rd and 7. And, we threw a bubble screen to Marv. And if we don't get that, we punt, but we got it. And then it was like, okay, we're going to shift this thing into the next gear and go. And we went down and scored. Because at that point, I think it was 28-3. It would have been a good halftime score and then come out in the second half and play. But so you always have to make sure that you're being aggressive, you're attacking, but you're going to do what's best for the team first.
And listen, at this point in the year, 10-0, what is keeping you up at night? I don't even know if you sleep much at night. Maybe you do, but is it players' injuries? Is it bringing guys online? Are they up to it? Is it a guy not coming off a double team when you could have popped Travion there? Coming off the goal line on that one play. You understand what I'm saying? These little mistakes, whatever. Is it the fact that coaching jobs are coming open around the country right now? You've got a staff that people would probably like to tap. What is it? All of that? I mean, and are you getting much sleep at this point?
Well, it's like they say, when some people rest, you stay restless, and I think that's it. You got to continue to work at all of these things because there's so many things going on, and that's our job. Is just to constantly do everything you can to maximize what you have, and communicate really well, and get the issues fixed that need to get addressed, and that's it. And then when it's time to go play, we get on the field. But each week has its new set of challenges. Every year has its new set of issues. and you just deal with them the best you possibly can and bust your tail. So, by the time you get to Friday night and you get to bed before the game, I mean, yeah, you're exhausted because, you've just burned the midnight oil making sure that you do everything you possibly can to win the game. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Sure. Again, as always, appreciate you guys coming out today. Start with just a quick look back at Nebraska. The thing that jumps out to me is the team showed great resiliency throughout the course of the game, and a lot like the last 4 weeks where we hit a little turbulence. We found a way to win that game, and to me that was the biggest thing I took from it. It was much needed. I can tell you that the locker room and being able to get back on the winning track rejuvenated that locker room, and it's a testament to the players, their ability to continue to fight through even when things aren't going well. It's kind of what I thought this team had in it. This team has faced a lot of adversity throughout the course of my time here, and for them to fight through and find a way to get a gritty, tough win on the road against a really good Nebraska team in a great environment is testament to the players. I'm pleased with the mindset the team had going into it. When you're on a 4-game losing streak, it's easy to get caught up in all the external things that are said. We tried to bunker in and focus on the things that we could control, and I think it showed up on Saturday. Our defense played lights out. Obviously to turn the ball over the way we did and still win the turnover battle is a testament that our defense did a really good job attacking the football, and not one time when we put them in harm's way with our turnovers did they ever back down. I felt like they got stronger, but really pleased with the way this team gutted out a tough road win. Moving on to Michigan, obviously this is a tremendous opportunity for our program. A top 5 team coming in here, the reigning champion of the Big Ten. Extremely talented team. Had the last 2 days having the opportunity to watch, all 3 phases, and they're one of those teams that it isn't one player that kind of the marquee guy. They've got a bunch of really good players that seem to play well together, and that's what jumps out on the tape. I got a lot of respect for them. Obviously, they're going through some of their own issues, and for 18 to 22-year-olds to be able to kind of compartmentalize and stay focused on the task at hand, which they were able to do last week up in State College, which is a tough place to play and win, shows the type of team that they've developed over there. We need to go into this game with confidence, which, anytime you win, it helps your confidence. I think our team is excited about this opportunity. I mean, very few times in your career do you get to have what I call a breakthrough type of game. And, what a breakthrough this would be for our program, for us to put it all together this week, show up Saturday and execute and play a damn near perfect game. Our players don't have to play above their ability to win this game. We just have to play to our ability, and I feel confident that we'll get our guys prepared to do that come Saturday. Our game captains this week, we're going with 4. Talia Tungavailoa, Jay-Sean Jones on offense, and then Ruben Hippolyte and Tarheeb Steele on defense. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Hey, Mike, what do you do to keep you guys focused on what's going on between the lines, given, as you mentioned, all that's swirling around with Michigan? Do you tell them, no, don't stay off social media, don't flip on the TV? I mean, it's kind of human nature to be curious a little bit what's going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, 18 to 22-year-olds are going to do what they do. I mean, they live in the information world. But as we've learned around here, none of that has anything to do with us. And it's not any of our business what's going on up at Michigan. We need to really focus on the things that we can control and the things that we have to do. And, I mean, our standard is to, again, worry about the Terps and make sure that we put the best version of the Terps out on the field, executing the things we need to get executed. What's going on up in Ann Arbor has nothing to do with us.
As far as the seniors go, it's contributed so much to the program. Kind of what's your initial thought about what the game's going to mean for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's always emotional. The last home game, last opportunity for a bunch of guys that have been through a lot during their time here. And again, as I told them, what what a great opportunity to end your career here in the shell against a reigning champion, Big Ten champion, a top 5 team, top 4 team. What a great opportunity and a great story to tell. Your kids down the road, if we can put it all together, and there's no doubt that this group is deserving of this opportunity, and I'm excited to see them go out and play to their ability this Saturday.
Mike, building off Gene's question, this senior class came here in interesting times, pandemic and everything, as you're trying to get things up and rolling. How important is this class, not just the guys who have been here since day one, but a lot of the transfers? How important has this class been to your building of this program?
Yeah, this class definitely has a bunch of guys that got on the train before we became a team that's going to 3 straight bowl games. They got on board with the vision of where we wanted to take the program and really bought into all the things that we've tried to do to build our program. So there's no doubt that this group of seniors, they're the pandemic babies. They're the guys that kind of came in, didn't take official visits during COVID, still made the decision to come here before we started the uptick in our program, and have all played huge roles in how we've been able to get to where we're a program now for 3 straight bowl games. Part of their resume is a huge thing, especially around here. I think there's only been 4 other coaches that have had this opportunity, or 3 other coaches that have had the opportunity to get to 3 straight bowl games, and it's all about these players and the seniors.
Michigan defensively leads the Big Ten against the pass.
Everything.
Again, yardage, scoring, they're top 3 rushing. What is it that makes them so special, and what sort of pressure does a defense like that do to the offense that you've got, what you know that you have?
Yeah, I mean, they don't. I mean, we know Chris Jenkins Jr. is a star in the making. He's one of those guys in our league that when you put the tape on, he flashes. They've got a good corner, the Johnson kid, really talented players, 2 talented linebackers. But you look across the board, and this team plays really well together. Like, it's not one shining star that kind of sets them apart. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They play really sound. They don't make a lot of mistakes, meaning you are going to have to execute at a really high level. And for me, that's kind of been our Achilles heel, is the lack of execution, especially in critical times. And so for us, we haven't had that one game yet where I felt like we put all 3 phases together. We all played that perfect game, and what would be a better opportunity to do that than to do it against a team like Michigan here at home.
Mike, in light of what that's going on with Michigan, have you addressed any changes of your signs or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, once we heard that 2-3 weeks ago, we made a lot of the necessary adjustments. Because if one has them, as you read and hear, anybody can have them. And so we've taken necessary precautions to just make sure that, again, what we can control, on offense, defense, we've definitely mixed up our communications and how we're able to do it. And so, we don't feel like that will have any effect on our game.
Is that a difficult process because guys kind of get into a routine?
It is what it is. I mean, playing Michigan is a difficult process, but it's on the schedule and we play them. So we do the work, whatever's necessary to give us a chance to compete. So yeah, we got it done.
My last question is, in light of some of the penalties from last Saturday, what's your level of concern about some of the penalties, particularly pre-snap?
I'm glad you asked me about, man, these penalties. So we were 22nd in the country in penalties, and all I hear every time we get a penalty is how undisciplined we are and how undisciplined this team is, and I ain't buying it. Every week I turn in plays to the Big Ten, and I'm not going to get fined, but I'm going to tell you, and you guys need to hear it, just because they throw a flag does not mean that it was actually a penalty. I mean, in the game it counts, but, I'm not going to buy it. This team is a disciplined team. We just get, I don't know how, why, or what, but things don't go our way. And, I've been on the phone with Bill Carolla a couple of times the last couple of weeks. Am I disappointed? No doubt. I don't like our guys getting penalties. I don't like our guys, doing the things. I always talk about non-competitive penalties. Those are the ones I have a problem with. But I'm not going to have that label of being undisciplined put on these guys, because these players have good discipline.
Mike, I'm curious if you've ever been a part of a game or seen a game before with 32 straight rushing plays by one team, and I guess what kind of message did that send to your defensive front about the challenge that they're facing this weekend?
You know, every game, when you game plan, you have to decide what you need to do to win the game, and obviously that's what they felt they had to do a week ago to win. How they're going to attack us, we need to figure that out. I know that, you know, they have the ability to attack you in a number of ways. They've got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback, really talented skill. They've got reigning two-time Joe Moore O-line, offensive line, 2 straight years. So really talented. And so, you know, to have the ability to do both really well, that's kind of what we've worked toward to try to get our offense to be like. But we got to be prepared for the run. We got to be able to stop the pass. We don't know how they're going to attack us, but we'll find out Saturday at noon, and we got to be prepared to make the necessary adjustments and do the things we can to kind of make them one-dimensional.
Hey, Coach. You call this a breakthrough game. What would a win this weekend do to, you know, kind of establish yourself in this conference and also erase, you know, the previous 4 games when you ultimately reflect and look back on the season?
The past has nothing to do with what happens on Saturday. The last 4 games have no bearing on Saturday, and we all need to realize that. Every game is its own entity, and now at the end of the year, you can kind of go back and talk about the season as a whole, but for us, this is a one-game season against a really talented team. We know that they're talented, but I can tell you we're talented too. We don't always play smart, and that's my job, to get us to play better and to play smarter, to be more efficient and execute at a higher level, which, you know, we're going to put the work in this week, and you know what, we'll see how it unfolds on Saturday.
Coach, with the penalties, the non-competitive, there were a couple non-competitive ones against Nebraska. Are those plays that you're saying were incorrectly called?
I'm not going to get into it, Vern. I told you, you can maybe call the Big Ten and ask them, but we turn in plays, and all I know is when I turn in certain plays that were flagged as penalties, I get a message back that shouldn't have been called, or it should have been called this way. So, yeah.
And then I wanted to ask about Jack Howes and the kick he made. What was that like for you to see? You know, he's had some struggles early in the year, but to see him make that field goal.
Jack's a young kicker that is going to be really, really talented. He's got a lot of football left in him. Did not have one hesitation about whether or not he'd make that kick. He does it in practice. You know, we put him in some tough situations earlier in the year where, you know, as a young kicker, I have a lot of faith and confidence in him. And he came through big for us. That was a huge kick for a young kicker.
Coach, being able to snap the losing streak, have you felt a little bit of maybe a looseness in the program this week, or getting a little bit of a monkey off your back?
Not at all. You know, you guys don't make my life comfortable, so not at all.
Hey, Coach. I know you touched on it post-game, but just the rushing attack for them to kind of step up in the second half. All 101 yards came in that second half, but just to kind of see that and obviously conference play, what does that kind of do for the offense, and I guess what are you trying to do to continue that momentum going into Michigan?
Yeah, you know, as I always talk about this balance thing, you know, being able to run the ball and some of the plays that we made in the running game, in the critical part of that game against Nebraska was important. You know, probably one of the best runs came with Leah checking us to an outside zone to the field, the long run Roman had. You know, our quarterback is able to get us in the right looks, get us to the right plays versus the different looks we saw. I thought Roman did a really good job of running the ball physical. Our offensive line, you know, it wasn't pretty. You know, as you look at the scoreboard throughout the course of the game, and you see the rushing yards are at 0, and it's like, but we kept trying to run the ball. We kept pounding it, and by the second half, you know, with some of the tempo things we did, we feel like maybe we got to where we warmed down enough. And then we were able to get the ball downhill and make the necessary plays in critical situations, which we hadn't done in, you know, the last few weeks.
I guess, what does it mean to have, I guess, big noon kickoff in College Park this weekend, and like to maybe tell students to stay around through at least Saturday instead of heading out a little bit early for Thanksgiving next week?
You know what? That's above my pay grade. I don't care if it's one person in the stand, as long as the scoreboard turns on and we got the refs there. I know Michigan will be there and we'll be there. All this other external things, I mean, it's great for our campus to be able to attract national media here, but I'm more concerned about the product on the field. If our students, they've been great all year long. They've shown up when some of our alums and regular fans haven't. They've been there. Hopefully they find that as something that they want to do, but if they choose to go home early, that's okay. We're going to still play.
Just the buzz around campus.
Yeah, we'll still play.
Yes, right.
Watch it on TV, stream it. We'll be all right.
I guess I did have another one. How can you
Okay.
build off Saturday's win to close out the season strong now that you got that 6th win?
Yeah, getting the 6 was huge, you know, because for me, it lets us extend our season, and I'm always big on those extra practices that you get when you are getting ready for a bowl game are invaluable in terms of what they do for your program. And so getting the 6 allowed us to focus now on the next season, the next one-game season, and it's a pretty important one against a really talented team. I know Michigan plays Ohio State after us, so you know they've got a big game after us. So be interesting to see how they approach it.
Afternoon, and like always, just talk a little bit about last weekend and then turn our attention to Illinois, the game this week. So before I do that, I just want to extend some congratulations. Originally it was going to be to Cooper, but I'm going to trump that with Aaron Campman. It was announced today that he's going to be inducted in the Packer Hall of Fame. So really happy for him. Tremendous player here, tremendous individual, and obviously had a great career in the NFL as well as at Iowa, and has gone on and done a lot of really neat things. He and his wife Lindy raising a beautiful family and coaching high school football and then doing some things in the private sector on top of it. So just really happy for him, and pleased for that recognition for him. And then regarding Cooper, just happy to see him, the Bednarik semifinalist, and got a couple guys on different lists. So just really happy for the recognition for those guys. All tremendous people as well as really good players. So happy about that also, and see where that all goes here. So as far as the game again Saturday, just a really good team win. It was a total team victory. So happy about that. I think we showed growth and improvement in several areas, and basically every area, and just happy about that. Played penalty free, which is hard to do, and good clean football there, and came out of the game fairly healthy. So pretty good about that as well at this time of year. And just a little side note, coincidentally, or however you want to put it, but it's 2 out of 3 games right now that have been potentially impacted by the replay system, and I've got some feelings about that. I just I'm a little confused on what conclusive means, what the definition of that is, and just in terms, I thought, it seems like the spirit of the replay was just to correct obvious mistakes, but I always think about Marv Levy in that NFL clip. You guys are over-officious jerks, and I'm not calling anybody a jerk, but the over-officious part I think does fit. So, I just hope we as a conference or as a collective body, just go back and take a look at that again, because I think it's kind of a flawed system at this point. So enough on that. Moving to Illinois, captains are the same guys. We got Joe Evans, got Jay Higgins, and Logan Lee on defense, and then Luke Lachelle represent the offense. Injury-wise, we get Stilianos back. He should be healthy, back practicing now, and then I don't see Bo Stevens making it for sure, and then Deontay Vine's very unlikely, so we'll just see how that goes. But otherwise, I think everybody's got a chance on that. So, obviously, know Brett, Coach Bielema, know him very well, known him for a long, long time, and he was a player here when I was at the tail end of my time as an assistant. He's done a great job as an assistant, and he's had 3 coaching jobs, head coaching jobs, and been very successful everywhere. And he's doing a great job at Illinois too. So they had a really good football team last year, and they come in here right now, I think with a lot of momentum. They've won 3 out of their last 4 games, playing really well, and it's really an interesting situation where they not only have one, but they have 2 quarterbacks that are playing really well, and I think their team has great confidence in both those guys. Playmakers pretty much everywhere you look offensively. They got a really good group of receivers. Number 1's a highlight guy. Have a really talented talented back, very versatile. He got hurt, and a true freshman came in and did a great job there. And as I mentioned, 2 quarterbacks, and I think they got about 3 or 4 guys back on that offensive line. So they're a really good team that way. Defensively, most seasoned and very talented. Up front, got a couple guys that are really challenging, pose problems for you, and done a good job in special teams as well. Number 1 returns punts, and they've got a young guy playing the kick return game who's doing a good job as well. So, like I said, they come in with momentum. We're going to have a big challenge on our hands. They have to be at our best Saturday, just like each and every week. And then just a couple side notes here. It's senior day, and it's always kind of a bittersweet thing. I've got 20 guys, and I think if my breakdown's right, we have 4 6-year seniors, I think 12 fifth-year guys, I think it is, and then 4 fourth-year guys. So it's a good mix of guys, certainly a good group of guys. And I think, when you look at senior day, one thing that always kind of jumps out, some guys are really well known. Obviously, Jay Higgins, go right down the list. There's some guys that are very well known. But you think about a guy like Kyler Fisher, which I think is kind of representative of our football team. Came here as a walk-on, pretty much unheralded. Kind of quiet, a little bit, I don't want to say shy, but bashful maybe, or not overly aggressive as a first-year player. But just kept gaining ground, kept working hard and gained confidence. And next thing you know, he's playing special teams, playing on our sub defenses, and has earned a starting role. And it's just been a really good football player for us. And then off the field, does a great job in the classroom, just an exemplary citizen, and ended up being one of our Hawkeye Challenge captains, the out-of-season competition we do. And not only is he a captain, but one of our top point getters, which involves academic work, community service. I think he was in the top 5 with our community service hours, that type of thing. So the guy just does things right. He's a high quality guy and has ended up being a really good football player. And I just bring that up because I think, you talk about building a team and having a team. It takes all kinds of guys. Not everybody's going to be Cooper DeJean. But you need guys like Kyler that just do a great job and keep improving with every turn. And, so it's just, I say it's always tough. You're happy it's a celebration for great careers, but it's also tough to say goodbye to guys. Although in this case, we still have a lot of football left in front of us. So just throw that out. And then the other part of senior day is the parents, having a chance for them to be on the field, be recognized, and just appreciate the sacrifice, the support that they lend to their sons, and then also appreciate the fact that they entrust us to work with their sons. So a lot of good things there. So that's a special day. And then last but not least, the kid captain this week. We got Cooper Estison, who's from North Liberty. Is a healthy 9-year-old. All of a sudden started acting kind of lethargic, and what they discovered was he had leukemia. So he underwent some pretty aggressive treatment, including chemo, and fought that for a couple of years. Right now, he's an 11-year-old 5th grader, and doing really well. He's still getting treatment, but he's playing sports, playing outdoors. I guess he really enjoys art. So I know he's looking forward to being on the sideline, waving up to the hospital, and it'd be great to have he and his family here. So, like always, happy to have a kid captain with us. And last but not least, we'll turn our attention to Saturday. Hard to believe it's our last home game, but once the seasons get going, it goes fast, and so that's kind of where we're at. So, that I'll throw it out for questions.
When we look at Illinois, their defensive tackle. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting on the rules here. Scott Docterman, The Athletic.
It's for the audience at home. Now we have one. Didn't have one 10 years ago.
Right. I wanted to ask you about...
My brother's watching, I promise you.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm just guessing.
Hi, Kirk's brother. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the defensive tackle tandem at Illinois. Yeah. And, Keith Randolph's really good, but in particular, number 4, Johnny Newton, may be the best in college football. Mm-hmm. Not only what are the challenges, but how can you prevent him from just completely taking over the game?
Yeah, our guys are going to have to be at their best, and he's typically into the boundary, so he'll play over both sides, left and right side. He's really got an unusual combination. He's extremely physical. We're a big physical guy, but he's also really athletic, and it's tough to tough to block him, tough to get in on him, and if you do, you're not going to stay there long. He's just he's a rare talent. You know, I'm not saying he's Simmons in the bowl game that year, but you know, there probably could be some comparisons. He's a guy that's just a really unusual combination of size, speed, strength, and agility. So that's going to be tough. And then Randolph's on the other side, took to the field. Sometimes they mix that up a little bit, but they're both having two guys like that in there, and they've got a big transfer guy playing nose who's doing a good job too. So it's tough to run up in the middle against these guys. It really is.
John Seppi, Cedar Rapids Gazette, got the opportunity to potentially get the sole possession of the Big Ten West title this weekend. How much would it mean to be able to do that, considering these types of things don't happen every day, and the opportunity to potentially do it in front of your home crowd?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a goal. At the start of the season, you want to be the Big Ten West champs if you have that opportunity. If we're on the other side, it'd be the other. But, the bigger goal right now is just winning games. And one thing you try to explain to the players, and I think they figured this out, there's really no downside to winning, and there's a lot of downside to losing. So not that it's all about winning and losing, but that's what you line up and compete for. So obviously it'd be great just to win. It's always great to win in Kinnick, and rarely is it easy. So that's kind of how this game's going to fall in line, I think.
Hey, Kirk, Elliott Clough, Rivals. The defense didn't exactly struggle to start the season, but now they're once again among the top 10 in college football. What have you seen from them, how they've continued to get better incrementally, but now those things are starting to add up, and they're really among the best?
Yeah, I've said it to several people. I think we're clearly a better defense than we were 6-8 weeks ago. But that's what you hope for with all of our guys. You hope they're all improving, whether they're experienced or not experienced. And probably the biggest difference, at least from my vantage point, is non-experienced players have a chance to improve more dramatically. Whereas a guy who's already pretty good, it's not going to be quite as dramatic typically. It's kind of like gains in the weight room sometimes. Younger guys gain more and more dramatically. But, I think it's just, it's a residual. The guys have played well. They work hard in practice. They prepare. They study. And then the other component, I think, is, you gain some success if you do, some confidence when you do have success. And we've had some, so, I think that just kind of breeds a little bit more of it, and then the collective power of all that, the synergy that's involved. And you got guys that, have played a lot of football, that are doing a really good job. And then Jay's played a lot of football, but not in that role. And, to lose a guy like Campbell and then him step in and do what he's done, that's really impressive. But that's allowed our whole team to also keep playing pretty well. And, we lost some really good players off that defense last year. We talk about Kayvon Riley, Jack, Seth. So, Lucas, Van Ness. And so it's a real credit to the whole group. They've all just kept working, and collectively they're playing pretty well right now.
Kirk, John Sears, WHO-TV. With all the distractions this year, how has this team been able to stay the course and kind of keep the train on the tracks? And how proud are you of them to be where they are right now, despite maybe some of the off the field distractions?
Yeah, just really proud of them and really happy for them. And it's, good things that happen. We try to create a framework for them and give them some guidance. But ultimately, it all comes down to players. Players play the game. They win and lose out in the field. And they're the ones that have kept the thing on the tracks, because they're the ones that didn't allow distractions to distract them. And there's a million of them. They come at you. Now, we got different forms of them coming each and every week. Now we got to deal with a little success, right? We scored 22 points and got a shutout. So, we're world champions. But, we still got a lot of work to do. And I think they understand that. And, but it ultimately gets down to the players. If you have the right kind of guys on your team, you got a chance to do some good things. And I don't know how good we are, but we're becoming a really good team in terms of teamwork part of it. And the rest of the stuff will just play itself out on the field.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, talking to some of the players today, Jay Higgins called you a Hall of Fame head coach. Nico thanked you. And Jay, something that stood out to me about Jay is he just said there's no reason for him, being a Hall of Fame head coach, to remain so invested and so passionate about what you do every day. Just kind of curious for you, where does that kind of just passion come from or derive from?
Yeah, it sounds like he wants me to retire. Is that what he's getting at? Call me old or what, It's just what I like, and kind of in a nutshell, I mean, there's fewer and fewer things I enjoy anymore, quite frankly. I can go off on a tangent on that one for about a half hour about college football. But the thing that hasn't changed since 1981, really, and I'll go back a year before that. My first year in college football was 1980 at Pitt. I still talk to guys on that team. That's however many years ago, 43, 44 years ago. I mean, we had really good guys at Pitt, and we had outstanding guys my 34 years here. So, that's really that's the best part of coaching. It was the best part of teaching when I was a teacher. And, it just kind of, I guess that was my niche. And at least I was lucky enough to find it. And I've been lucky enough to be around really good people. So it's what I enjoy. I enjoy being on the field. I enjoy being in this building. A lot of the other nonsense, it is what it is. And it's just, life changes and there's all kinds of stuff going on. But, I've been really lucky to be in good places with good people, and that's common denominator. So, we eat pretty good. I like food still. All right, get ice cream every now and then, and some other stuff. So it's all good. And the weather's been great. We've had one really cold day so far this season. 2 weeks ago today. Other than that, it's been great.
Coach Matt Randazzo, WQAD. You've had Logan Lee running around here for 5 years now. I think he came here as a kid trying to figure out a position, and he's started a lot of football games for you. Yeah. What kind of impact has he had on the field and then off the field in this locker room and in this program? Yeah,
coincidentally, I just mentioned Aaron a little while ago, Aaron Campman. And when Aaron was here, he was, like a 45-year-old guy on our team. He was married to, coincidentally, as an underclassman. He and Lindy got married, I believe it was spring of their junior year. And the parallels are pretty uncanny. I mean, they're both just really mature, beyond their years, focused. You worry about those guys having enough fun sometimes. Did they miss out on some of the good stuff you do in college? But they both seem, I know Aaron turned out pretty happy and pretty content, and I think Logan is too. But he just came with an unusual maturity. So he's really been a good guy that way. He's gone through, like a lot of guys, going through the hardships. He's had injuries, surgeries, which, again, that's kind of like the people forget about what these guys go through physically, the hard work involved, coming back from rehab. He's done all that, always had a great attitude, and it just continues to grow, great leader. And to your point, when we came out, we weren't sure what he was. We knew he was a football player. We just didn't know what. And, it's been fun to watch him go from a guy who's a little bit robotic and mechanical early in his career to being a really good football player and a really good defensive lineman. But you can't do it if you're not on the field. He missed a lot of time, so, playing catch up. But, boy, he's played really well now for a couple of years, and we'll miss him on a lot of levels, his leadership, all the besides being a great player.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. Phil Parker was nominated for the Broyles Award again this year, and just came out. He had no idea that he had been nominated when he walked by a little bit ago. But just the importance and what your defense has done, in the last month with just one touchdown allowed.
On that topic, I just tell Rita to hit the resend button from last year or the year before, and we won't win it because we're not, it is what it is. But he's done a great job coaching, and he's been here all 25 years. I appreciate that. He's had two jobs since he became a full-time coach, which I think says a lot about him and his career. He's been invited to stay both places, and because he's phenomenal. He's an outstanding coach. And, the proof's in the pudding, just the way those guys have played. It's really very impressive. It's a team effort. I'm sure he would tell you that, or has told you that. But, he certainly learned well from Norm. Norm was the all-time best, and we've been very fortunate to have a real, continuity in our system, and it's worked out for us. They continue to tweaking it, looking at it, adjusting it. You have to because things change, but it's still pretty much the way it was 25 years ago. Obviously a little bit better now, but Phil's done a great job.
John Patchett, Hawkeyes. Mike, for those of us who have to make predictions for Saturday's game, what version of Deacon Hill do you expect to show up? The first half version last Saturday or the second half? And why?
Of them or us, our first, second, it all goes together. It all goes together. What happened in the second half is just it's a process. You just keep playing, and then hopefully you're learning during the game, and just you just keep chipping away. But I thought from the start like we were playing better than we had played offensively, and defensively we were doing a lot of good things. So, you know, on the special teams, we're contributing. So it's just that's kind of how we play, and hopefully you get better as the game goes on. No two games are really the same. They all got a life of their own. So you play them as they play out, but in a perfect world like that was what we're looking for. Just try to keep chipping away and just keep getting a little bit better. And, you know, at some point, hopefully, you build a lead. And I saw the stat about us being whatever it is, 70-2, I think, with 8-point leads. You know, so yeah, it's better to play the lead, no question about it. And that's something we're always trying to do. But it's not, it's easier said than done sometimes.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Wanted to ask about Nico. What all do you remember about him, like early in his time at Iowa? And are there just any kind of favorite stories or anything you can share about him?
We liked him in high school, but then we encouraged him to do a year of PG, and he did that. Avon Old Farms, who my running mate in college, who actually went to Avon Old Farms, a great lacrosse player guy named Jeff Brown. So Nico went there, and then we recruited him. So, you know, since he's been here, he's been fantastic. He's really done a good job. We probably should recruit him out of high school, quite frankly, in retrospect, but it's all worked out. And it seems like he's got a little turbo boost here the last couple weeks. He's got a little, looks like the 22-year-old Nico instead of the 28-year-old. But anyway, no, he's just a great guy. He's got a great personality. He's a great guy, and I think our season tickets have increased dramatically since he joined our team. I think he has an entourage, like 50 people, 60 people come out here every game. It's crazy. So he's pretty popular at home, too. And his dad was if you talk to the former baseball coach at UConn, there are two people on his all-time favorite list, and Nico's dad was one of them. He's a catcher and just a tough, competitive guy. Yeah, and I think Nico certainly fits in that. He's done a great job for us. Yep.
Mitch Fick from KGAN. Is Noah going to get to go through senior day at all? Does he have any role?
Yeah, absolutely. He's more than earned that. And I did my little 3-minute, documentary today on the Big Ten Network about that whole situation. So I'll probably just keep my mouth shut. But it's, I mean, he is so respected by everybody in this building. And, again, I mean, I'm not minimizing speeding tickets, but that's really what this thing was the equivalent of. So, yeah. Tough. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, Coach. Owen Sebring, KGN. Sounds like from talking to Tory Taylor today, this is probably going to be his last game that he plays at Kinnick Stadium. I'd just be curious to hear maybe some of your first experiences when you first met Tory and what he's meant to the program. I know he's approaching the all-time punts record. He's going to pass Jacob Baker here pretty soon. So what's he meant to this team? What's it going to be like trying to replace a kid like that?
Yeah, it's his story is so unusual, and it puts a smile on my face because, I mean, talking about the ills of college football right now, he was the anti-story of that. When he got here, I remember pulling up to Purdue, and there was nobody on the sidewalks, kind of weird. It was like a high school scrimmage. Big Ten game, there's nobody there. And like, whoa, okay, science fiction movie. His first game ever, and he was just so naive to college football, American college football. It was kind of refreshing, actually, so it was kind of neat. He's become Americanized now. He's part of the pack here, but just to watch his evolution, he was obviously talented then, had raw ability and talent. And the one thing about him this year that really I'll never forget, I think, is just the way he's practiced. Like he's a real craftsman now. So he went from a guy who kicked the ball, that's what he did forever, grew up doing that, punting the ball and all that stuff. But now he is he has such clear focus and intent every time he's out there at practice. And he's really practiced at a high level. And I know he had a so-so game 2 weeks ago. But I told him afterwards, I said, I'm just so confident you're going to come right back, because you watch a guy every day, and that's maturity, that's experience, that's really putting things in the bank and using them to your advantage. So, it's a real credit to him. He's really learned how to be a real focused, college football player, and and he's been a really strong team leader on top of that. And he's got a really unique perspective, but he's a really good team leader. He cares about his teammates deeply, and specialists is kind of funny. It's like a relief pitcher in baseball. Those guys sit out in a different dugout. They're away from the main team and all that stuff. It's but there's some parallels to that. Yet when they go out there, everybody watches and sees what they do, and so he's in that situation, yet he's really done a great job bonding with everybody, and I think he enjoys life. I know he seems like he's really enjoyed his time here in Iowa, and just really, we've been fortunate to have him come through this place and be part of us. So just thrilled for him and his futures. Wish him all the best. Obviously, moving forward, all these guys.
John Seppi, Cedar Rapids Gazette. I think it's been the last 7 seasons that you have had a Schulte in the building. What has Quinn provided from a leadership standpoint, and is it kind of something that you know what you're getting when you have a high school coach who's been as productive as Dwayne's been, and you're getting his kids? Yeah,
I think there's some commonalities there over time. You think about Drew Tate's dad. Stepdad was a coach, and I can go right down a list. I remember coaching Mike Devlin here. His dad was a career coach, great guy, John Devlin. So yeah, I think when they grow up around it, and part of the advantage for a coach's kid is they see the hard stuff, not just the good stuff or the easy stuff. They're not fans. Like, they don't just show up at the stadium, oh, this is nice, everybody's got game uniforms on, all that stuff. They see the tough part about competition and the disappointments, all those things that come with it. So I think they have a little different perspective maybe. And Dwayne's an outstanding coach, not a good coach, outstanding teacher. And all that whole family's first class. They're just tremendous. So, and then, Q's done a great job. We talked about Kyler coming as a walk-on, and he kind of come in quietly and all that, but you just watch him gain confidence each and every year. And he's worked extremely hard, like Kyler, like all these guys. They work so hard. So that's the fun part, whether it's Torrey, all the guys we're talking about, where they are 4 years after they get here, or 5 years. It's a big, big difference, and it's kind of a neat thing to see.
Hi, Kirk. Jack Leda with KCRG TV9. We were joking with some of the guys that, they were saying they're not exactly excited to run out of the tunnel if, in case they show too much emotion. You've been through a lot of these senior days. What do you tell them about kind of balancing the taking it all in, which I know is important, but balancing it with putting it aside once the game starts, and the best ways to do that?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's easier to talk about it and say, here's what you ought to do. But I think it's kind of interesting to hear, like, the first time they come out in the swarm is usually a pretty emotional thing for them and their parents. And then, you close it out at the end of your career the other way. You come out without a swarm and get introduced, and it's probably more moving. And I've done it as a parent 3 times. So it's a pretty special thing. So there's going to be those highs and lows that they got to go through, and then somehow they got to scramble and recover. And I think we got 5-8 minutes there to get their stuff back together. But it's easier said than done, and it is emotional. So I wish I had the answer. 25 years still searching. So.
Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters. Coach, I know you've said in the past that when it comes to the pantheon of great Iowa punters, Reggie Roby's one and everybody else is too. But when it comes to fan favorites, you see the shirts. When Torrey's name goes up on the jumbotron, everybody goes crazy. Even 3 and outs, Torrey gets the pop. I mean, as far as fan favorites go, where does he stand among the players that you've seen and coached over the years?
I'm in that fan club too. Okay, just so you know that. In fairness to Reggie, like, we didn't have social media and all that stuff going on back then. He'd probably sell a few T-shirts too. And one thing I've always said about Reggie, I got here his last 2 years, but I've heard about his prowess in high school. He probably could have been all Big Ten at several positions based on what I know, maybe a couple sports. I mean, he was just a great athlete. And I'm not suggesting Torrey's not, but I mean, Reggie Roby was, and he was a first-class guy, like, just a great guy. So, I mean, he was in a real special tier. But, I tell you, Torrey with every step, and Jason Baker, had a pretty good NFL career too. So it's, those are pretty good names you're throwing around. But yeah, Torrey, and plus, he's got the advantage of being Australian, right? He's got the accent, all that stuff. He's got great personality. So I think, he's just a likable person. You really got to like him, and I especially like him when he punts the ball really well. I have a, fondness of people like that too. So it's pretty good. Yeah, he's a great story. I'll go back too. I think whatever the technicality was, he couldn't collect money whenever it was a year ago, and donated it to a really worthy cause, with the heartbeat deal. So I think that tells a little about the kid too, just how he's wired, how he's been raised. He's got a great family, and so it's a pretty special thing.
Any more questions?
Usually starts at home. Yeah, it usually starts at home.
I don't know whether or not to combine them, but they'd be too different here, but I'll start with this one. With Joe Evans is another great story. You've built your career on great stories like that, as much as anything. Walk-on, quarterback, switches to defensive end, beats out some scholarship guys to become your start, and then it works his way up to being a team captain, almost a lot like Brett Bielema in some ways. Yeah. But when you look at Joe Evans, is he the type of story that you can share with guys yet to come here because of the way he's worked his way and then become, really important player for you?
Absolutely. And I think he's really representative of the kind of guys we're looking for. I remember when he did come, and first you hear about him in meetings, and then he comes in and all that. You meet the guy, and it comes from a great family. His dad's an educator, great family, and but I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what are we going to do with this guy? Linebacker, quarterback, he's not very tall, all that stuff. Until you see him on the field. And the first time you see this guy on the field, he is going 100 miles an hour, just had great tempo. And it's kind of funny because when he showed up the first time, I looked at him like he was a 6-foot guy. And now when I stand around him, I'm looking at him going, I think he might be 6'4", but a lot of that's just perception because of the way he's had a career. And for the record, he's obviously taller than I am. So I thought he was shorter than me. But as he kept playing, he kept going, and so he's not as small as maybe I thought 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but the guy he's got such a motor, such an attitude, and there's so much to be said for that. And I think that's his best attribute. And when he's out there, he just goes hard, goes hard. And I'm thinking about Campman right now. Matthews is going in with him, and there's another guy who just went hard. Sometimes players outplay their size, they outplay their dimensions, their measurables, and we've done well with those guys. So, and then him coming back last year, that was just it was a really good deal for us, obviously, and I think it was a good deal for him. I'm glad he came to that decision. But, that was one he had to make for himself, and he did, and he, conferred with his family and just thrilled he's back with us because he's a tremendous player, but a really strong team guy on top of it.
Coach Matt Randazzo, WQAD. Brett Bielema comes back to town. I know in 2021 he wasn't able to come because of COVID. He talked yesterday at his press conference about University of Iowa, your staff, yourself. What have you seen with what he's done at Illinois? Your thoughts on the outside looking in, what he's doing, and then obviously someone you're very familiar with and have a lot of fondness with as well.
You're just talking about Joe Evans, who came as a walk-on, and Brett came as a walk-on, ends up being a captain. He and Mike Devlin in '92. So again, that doesn't happen by accident. You don't fall into that. It's hard work, it's attitude, all those things, and I think that's what we've seen him in his career too. I don't think any of us that know Brett from the late 80s, early 90s, or from the early part of his coaching career would really be surprised what he's done.